What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, bring incredible guests from all over the world, so sit back, relax, and tune in. My next guest is an Elan Healing Facilitator and Embodiment Priestess. Please welcome Melissa Moon. Cannot wait for this conversation. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you, Deanna. So wonderful to be here.
So wonderful to have you here. And I want to point this out because I said this before we started recording. I love what you put here in your bio. My gosh, what is with my words today? There is nothing more empowering than trusting your innate intelligence and body wisdom to create abundance, health, and wealth. And I think those are three things everybody is looking for in life. So obviously, there's always something that puts us on the path to where we are today. So I know that you have had your own journey getting to where you are. So can you share that with us and kind of what led you down this path?
Yeah. And when it comes down to abundance, health, and wealth, it's those types of things that when we don't have enough of it or we're lacking it is our focus, right?
Yeah.
If you feel good, you're like, I need to get healthy.
Yeah.
You don't have enough wealth to live your life in a way that feels aligned to you. It's like, that's the focus. So then how do we allow ourselves to be first connected internally, to be able to connect into that trust and that truth and that wisdom that we do know what to do?
Yeah.
We have the skills and the capability, and it's just that manner of that piece of intelligence in that innate space, but also that body's wisdom. It's like, how do we turn that volume up so that you can trust that you know what to do and you know how to take those next steps?
Yeah.
And so, my journey has been an interesting one, reflecting back. I'm actually going to be 40 next month. So
you look beautiful. You look great.
You. There are big numbers and lots of decades and lots of experience to draw out.
Sure.
But ultimately, what led me into this space was my own personal healing crisis. I was a new mom in my mid-20s. I had a very interesting journey, coming out of high school and really connecting into that label-free kind of idea where I'm like, I don't feel like I belong in any way into this world, like any specific way in this world, but other than the way that I want to live my life. Yeah. So making decisions, doing things that really felt true to me.
Sure.
And, that started with when I was pregnant with my first daughter, deciding to have a home birth and not having any reference. Nobody else I know was doing that thing, but there was that innate sense of just no, this feels right. This is what I want to do.
Definitely brave.
Start my family. Yeah. And it's where did that come from?
Sure.
So ultimately I had a healing crisis. I woke up on a Tuesday afternoon, out of a nap with my daughter who was probably 8 months old, somewhere around there. And I looked in the mirror and I had a lump on my throat, a size lump on my throat that literally showed up overnight. And it was one of those things where I was like, okay, I know they're adults. Why haven't I noticed this? Why haven't they noticed this? And what is this all about?
Yeah.
So obviously, if we're going to be in more of the spiritual aspect of things, it's throat chakra, on top of, wow, I have a physical manifestation that's showing up in my body. And what does this have to tell me?
Yeah.
So thankfully, I was definitely more curious than feeling like it was an emergency. Went to the doctor. They found that it was fluid filled. And so, Medi-Cal and just kind of insurance takes a long time. So in the in-between of that time frame, I was able to find a really amazing intuitive talk therapist who just brought to light some more of our stuff, right? We all have stuff. We all have bags. We all have things that we've been bringing and carrying with us over time, building in our bodies. Our bodies are amazing. It takes all the information that either we can deal with or we can't deal with. And if we can't deal with some stuff, we store it away for later.
Yeah.
So dealing and helping unpack some of this information, dad issues, mom issues, my own personal issues, all those things. And then after about 3 months of work with her, she looked at me and she's like, all right, now that we've dealt with all the stuff that we don't want to really look at, I want to pivot you and I want you to look at things that are right. Like, what's right about you? What's right about your body? And it has just been something that no one has ever said to me. No one has ever been like, well, what's right about you?
Yeah.
Like, that is not a conversation that we have generally.
No, not at all.
With ourselves, with other people. And so that concept really intrigued me. And mind you, this thing is big. Like, the lump is about 3 inches long. It juts past my jawline, like this beautiful mid-20-year-old woman who has this thing on her, right? And it's like, it's showing up and it's there every single day. So I have to see it every single day and be reminded of it. Yeah. But along that journey, I was introduced to my mentors and my practitioners from the Elan Healing Studio, Graceful Health in Newcastle, California. And, you know, that was the focus. Is like, let's focus on the ease. Let's focus on what's right in your body. And as I continue to work, and we do nervous system work, we do integrated breath work, we allow for the breath, the movement of the body, touch, presence, focus, all happening within the central nervous system to help guide the body into more ease, so that things that are more bound and more, locked up in the system has an opportunity to help move and create more flow. And so I worked with them for about a year or so, at least a year, and I watched this thing get bigger and then watched this thing go down.
Wow.
And by the time I got to my ENT, my doctor, and we did have surgery, and I made sure that, it was all cleaned out, ended up being a salivary gland that had filled with blood, which was like a random thing that my ENT was also curious about. He's like, I've never seen that before.
Interesting.
And so it was this thing where it's like, our bodies are trying to tell us stuff.
Right.
We are energetic beings. We either take that energy and we use it to destroy, or we use it to gather information. That's the purpose of energy. So then it was like, well, what was this trying to tell me?
Right.
Well, it's like communication, trust, truth, being able to speak up for myself in a way that honored me. And so then through that process, reflecting back on those things that I wasn't doing, and it was like, man, my body was really trying to give me cues before all that happened.
Yeah.
Like, how do we create and cultivate that trust, that inner knowing, and that empowerment around taking action before, something physical shows up that forces us? Like, can we have more ease and utilize that ease to make choices and decisions before we're forced to make choices and decisions?
Yeah. What made you go with you said as an intuitive talk therapist? Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
What made you go with someone like that to help you?
She came highly recommended from a friend who I knew.
Yeah.
And, she didn't have any licensure. She didn't have, formal training, but she utilized her own personal intuition and knowing to be able to connect with my system and bring things up. And so as I connected into memories and problems and issues and all this stuff, like, she was able to reflect that back to me.
Wow.
Because the end of the truth is nobody really cares about, a bunch of letters behind a name. What they really care about is, can this person offer me a transformation in a way that serves me and is meaningful to my life?
For sure.
Yeah.
And so do you feel like that being on that journey with her when this rose helped you deal with, like, how did that help with getting this healed, the lump on your throat?
It allowed me to really speak my truth. Like, damn, I do have issues with a variety of things in my life I wasn't willing to look at.
Wow.
Because I didn't feel safe, or I didn't even know. Like, if we don't know, we don't know. Like,
right.
So then how do we allow to work with somebody? That's why I have the title of healing facilitator. Like, I'm not here to fix anything or like cure or treat or whatever, but it's like, how is it that we can be reflections of one another so that I can offer somebody the opportunity to do the things or say the things or take the action that serves them the best, versus just being told what to do.
Yeah.
Through my entire healing journey with this thing and watching my body self-heal, never once was I told what to do.
Yeah.
I got I got to experience healing as the inner journey of discovery.
So so before you had the surgery, was this almost gone, or was it still pretty
Gone?
Oh, wow. So you had worked out, you yourself like worked on it and got it all gone, but they had to go in there and clear it out.
Yeah. And that was my choice. I was like, no, I still want to go in and just make sure. Like they took it and obviously did biopsy and all that.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was as benign as it could be.
Sure. How amazing is that you took that power over of yourself, your body, your mind to heal that? I mean, that's huge. Is that when you became an Elan Healing Facilitator?
Through that process and through just my general schooling process, like I went to school for nutrition food science. I actually became an x-ray technician. And so I've grown up in the medical field. I have family in the medical field. So I really had a basis of understanding the physical body. And then working in Western medicine for a while, realized that this was not the way that I wanted to be of service and care for others.
Yeah.
And so from that, I became a Reiki practitioner because then I was like, well, what's this other piece that I'm not connected?
The energy piece.
The energy piece. And I was like, well, let's bring in that spiritual piece. Did that for a little while, but then I was still kind of itching as to like, okay, like there's something else. And so then as I went through my own personal experience with Elan, I was invited into their community service program and becoming a practitioner as well. And it brought in obviously the physiological piece, the very physical, but mental, emotional, and spiritual aspect. It's like, how do we address the whole person? And starting in the nervous system is the first domino.
Yeah,
Is at least what I've discovered.
What's good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. So I'm very much into my vitality, my health and wellness, fitness, all those things. So I love the telehealth concierge services. I'm not sure if you're familiar with those, but there's an online telehealth resource to help you with your health and wellness, sexual health, weight loss, peptides, what have you. And I really enjoyed the last therapy I did with them. This time I'm doing weight loss, you guys, because I've been a little bit slowing down here at this age, and I'm looking for something to boost that metabolism. I highly recommend Valhalla Vitality. I have a discount code for you, Deanna15, and I will have the link in the description below for you to go sign up. Check them out, get your appointment scheduled. You'll have a meeting with a great telehealth doctor, supervisor, consultant that will walk you through what it is that you're looking for to improve in your vitality. Again, this is Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast, and I'm here to endorse Valhalla Vitality. I feel like a lot of people that get sick is almost like it's self-inflicted because they're not really dealing with the true issues of what's going on in their lives. You know, I know for me, if I get very stressed and upset, I can get myself sick. And so I have to be very careful not to allow myself to get very upset. You know what I mean? Like if I get into a bad fight with my husband or something like that, like I have to like minimize that emotional reaction because I know what kind of a toll it takes on my body. Not that I think I have a great immune system. I don't get sick often, but I know from an emotional standpoint that I have to protect myself and not allowing myself to go there. Because then my body reacts in a way like, hey, you didn't take care of me. You're getting me too upset. You're getting me stressed out. And then, I just can't do it.
Yeah. And it just comes down, this is a hard conversation and it's a very delicate one to have with people. It comes into personal responsibility. Like we choose how we live life to some degree, right? There are obviously, a lot of different variations and, ways that people live in different parts of the world. Like, thank God I live where I live.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there comes down to the line of like personal responsibility. We choose how we show up. We choose how we react. We choose how well we take care of ourselves or we don't. Like a lot of it comes down to choice as adults. And so when we say like, hey, personal responsibility, it can be a very touchy subject, but it's really the truth.
It is. Yeah. How do your clients handle that when you start dealing, when you kind of, I'm not sure how you communicate that to them, but how do they handle that when they come to you, you start working with them?
It is a very delicate thing. It's not a thing that I like come out in full force, like you're sick and it's your fault. Like, we're going to say that. But it's about that inner journey of discovery, right? It's about that gentle healing. Hey, let's welcome you into your body first. And how do we do that with the most amount of safety? Because if we cultivate safety internally, then it gives the body a chance to first feel, right? If you can't find something, you can't feel something. And if you can't feel it, then you can't pay attention enough to take the steps to heal. And so it just becomes an organic conversation, because the beautiful thing about what I do is I usually see people weekly, sometimes twice a week, or mostly twice a week for months on end. So I get to really know my practice members. I really get to understand who they are and the things that are going on in their life and the things that are showing up. So then we get to talk about, hey, I'm noticing, I'm starting to pay attention when this person shows up or this situation shows up. I'm noticing how it reacts in my body, you know? And so then as we do get into that piece called Vital Life Coaching, you know, it's those organic moments of like, let's have a conversation about that.
Yeah.
You know, and like, why do you think? Why hasn't your body been able to heal itself? Like, what is it that you actually want to achieve, you know? And so helping them create that vision inside their own imagination first and answering those questions first gives them that empowerment of taking ownership.
Yeah. I almost feel like you're helping them be in touch with their bodies.
Yeah.
Because they're so disconnected from like what's going on here, all over that they have to kind of find their way back. And that's where the responsibility piece comes in, right? Because I think we're, as a society, pretty disconnected from most things.
I hear this so much where they're like, I feel like I'm a head on top of this body thing. You know, it's like two very separate things. And it's like, absolutely. So let's connect you. Let's find that ease first so your body feels safe to connect.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So what does it look like can you give us an example of what someone was going to, like one of your clients or mentioned members, your practice members, what they're going through that they want to come to you and start working with you, and like what their ultimate result is?
Mm-hmm. So when I first see somebody, we sit down for an initial consultation, right? Just a nice conversation about what's up, why are you here, what's led you to this moment, and what's most present in this moment, and what is it that you actually want to move forward into in your becoming, right? Because you're different than you were last week. You know, you're different than you were 10 years ago, right? So we're not going to go backwards. We're going to continue to move forward. So getting a really clear path of like an idea of like, okay, where have you been? Where are you going? And, you know, what do we want that to look like? And then we do a thing called a quality of life assessment. So there's value in empirical data, especially in the healing world. It's one of those things. Healing is interesting, right? It's not a clear path. It's not a clear line. Like it's not A to B, but it's like, we'll go forward and then we'll like do a loop-de-loop. And then all of a sudden we're like lost in a cave and then we'll like pop out and you're just like, whoa, where have I been? You know, it could be a very interesting experience. So we want to make sure that we're keeping track of certain parameters. So first I'll do a quality of life assessment with somebody, and we address physical, mental, emotional, stress, life enjoyment, and quality of life. And there's numerical value that you'll put for each of these sections. And each section has 10 to 14 different aspects of the sections.
Sure.
And we'll take that baseline, and then when we do progress assessments throughout care, they fill out another one, and then we look at the difference that people experience in their own perception of how their body and their life is showing up.
Yeah.
So that's one way that we measure things and we address like what's changing and what's different.
Right.
And then the other piece is the physiological piece, right? Because I am putting my hands on their body. We're doing light contact work on the system, over the spine, mainly in the neck and down low in the sacrum. So there's a healing touch piece to it, encouraging the breath patterns and all that. But we are also assessing the tension. If you're holding tension in your body, you're holding things nice and tight, it's going to impede and it's going to distort the nervous system's ability to have clear and vital feedback loops internally, but then also how you process the world externally. So we want to make sure, just like we live in our homes, we need to do the dishes and clean the floors and do the laundry, because if we don't, over time, the buildup becomes overwhelming and it's hard to live in your house.
Yeah.
Nervous system wise, it's the same thing. We're living in these bodies, everybody. Like, clean up your nervous system so that you can breathe a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Your body feels freer, like it feels clear and connected into how it is that you want to show up for the day or make decisions or be creative or, not let stress take a hold of you.
Yeah.
So I see people, mainly, anxiety is a big one, like crippling anxiety is a big issue for a lot of people. And since COVID, like toxic stress, which chronic stress that has been extended for 21 days and beyond, right? So chronic stress situations, people are just operating at like low grade fear, which is what anxiety is. Like, they're just afraid and they don't know how to get out of that like merry-go-round, right? It's like, I'm on this ride and I don't know when to get off, or I can't get off. Wow. So that's a big one, is anxiety. And what I find over time, like, we have these conversations about like, hey, I can barely leave my house, to, oh yeah, like I was going to see you for anxiety. And I've seen that in as short as 6 weeks.
Wow, that's amazing. Are these people on any medication, or they are like prescription free?
I think there's probably a mix.
Oh, okay. Do you get off of it eventually then? Because I'm not, I think that would be ultimately the goal.
Absolutely. And that's always like a conversation, which, in where I'm sitting across from them, I say, you talk with your doctor about that, obviously.
Yeah.
But what I do see over time is that, people are able to trust that their body is changing, and then they can make the necessary adjustments that they see fit, Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. Some people definitely go off medication. Some people stick to them or adjust them, and it just really depends on what it's like. What you need is what it comes down to it. If you feel like having something as part of a pharma product is good for you, then, I'm not no. Personally, yes, I find many different ways to, because I've been on Lexapro, like I've done the pharma, and I know how that went, which was a very interesting ride, which I never want to experience again. But for some people, it's a necessary.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. When it comes to anxiety, is it, I always see, I experience anxiety sometimes, like, oh my gosh, I gotta like get somewhere, and it's just like normal. I get a little anxious, I get to where I'm going, and then it's gone, right? It's not like crippling anxiety where it's like day in and day out. People that have that kind of anxiety, I feel like the source is coming from a much deeper place than what they actually think it is. Now, is that what you help them get to the bottom of?
Yeah, there ends up being those revelations, those aha. And also, it's like, if we're energetically running loops in the system, in the nervous system, it's not as easy as being like, okay, loop, stop.
Yeah.
Right? We need to have that input into the neurological system to like diffuse that energy.
Sure. So like we're programmed to like this, it's on repeat, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So then like my job as the facilitator of what we're doing is helping as we connect into the ease, which is free energy. It allows that free energy to be more expansive throughout the system, which then bumps into bound energy. And the free energy is more influential than the bound energy. So it helps free that stuff up. So a lot of times things happen and there's beautiful shifts, and it's not even a conversation. It's just like, oh, I just feel better. Like I'm not sitting on the couch wallowing anymore, afraid to go out. Like I have the energy and the safety internally to just start living my life again.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that's beautiful. I would not want to live in that prison. That just sounds terrible. And you can work with people via Zoom or in person. Like, does you work all kinds of ways?
I do work all kinds of ways. The work here on the table is going to be the work here on the table. Like that, unfortunately. Yeah. But one of the big pieces of care, so Elan is an umbrella for a few different approaches for how we, care for the whole person.
Sure.
That one that I mentioned before, the Vital Life Coaching, that's that sitting down for progress assessments, having those organic conversations, because talking things out is valuable.
Yeah, for sure.
But the bulk of the work is getting on the table, and that's called integral neurology. So
Okay.
we're creating integrity in the parts of the system and then integrating it so that there's this holistic feeling internally, right?
Sure.
And the other piece is called evolutionary personal care, EPC for short. And that's the breath work that I teach here at the studio. And then that's also, I've worked with people over Zoom with just the breath work piece. And oh my gosh, watched incredible things shift and change in their nervous system and how they run their life and how they deal with things.
Yeah. Well, the breath work is I'm big into yoga and all that stuff and meditating. So that's a big part, I think, for people in general. Melissa, where can people find you, connect with you, and learn more working with you, or just even having a conversation with you?
Absolutely. Well, I'm on Instagram. That's like the one thing I'm mainly on is Instagram at mlmoon_studio.
Okay.
Same thing. I have my website at mlmoonstudio.com.
Perfect.
On the website, if you want to learn more about the breath work, there's a tab called Learn EPC. I got a 3D video right there on the screen. Check it out. Get your hands on your body, breathe a little bit, see how that feels. And then under that, I have actually a video series that you can purchase if you want to know more or work with me. And then I'm also on Facebook, ML Moon Studio, YouTube, ML Moon Studio.
Awesome. You guys, and put those links in the show notes. So if you connected with Melissa and want to learn more, if you're dealing with some anxiety, knowing someone that's dealing with anxiety or something along those lines, it's not feeling right inside, you want to get it to feel right, go connect with her, go follow her on social, and just start a conversation. I'm sure it can't hurt, and she would love to connect with you either way. Melissa, this is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
Our breath is ancient wisdom. Like, it is a tool that we have accessible to us at any moment. So I want to encourage everyone to connect to your breath, put your hands on your body, and just find a point of ease that you can anchor into, knowing that you have the ability to change your experience in an instant.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. So hopefully all you guys did that with me as she was saying that. I put my hand on my chest and I just did a deep breath and I feel much better. Melissa, thank you for sharing your story. What a beautiful example of how powerful our minds and our bodies can be when they're connected, and we just can and work on those layers of ourselves that need to be worked on and maybe put to rest or just fixed or whatever it looks like. But thank you so much for sharing with us today. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Deanna. Appreciate you.
You're welcome. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.